Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Big Apple Hockey. StreamYard was just saying something weird to me for a minute, so I kind of had to roll my eyes. But so hence the reason for the weird reaction to start the show. I, of course, am Mark Williams, your host, and I'm joined by the host of the Final Buzzer, Mr. John Polkowski.
I don't really have anything to say today.
That is a first. And a man who's just enjoying watching some hockey games, Mr. Anthony LaRocco.
Are the Islanders back? I guess we'll answer that question soon. But, yeah, it feels good to have your team play pretty consistently.
Yeah, I mean, it's great that you don't have bye weeks.
Yes.
Who'd have thought that those things would even exist? I mean, in the NHL. Well, I mean, they're not even with the collective bargaining agreement. But we got a lot of news that we're going to be getting to you soon. We're going to be launching BigAppleHockeyPodcast.com. That's the good news. That should be up within a couple weeks. We'll have written articles by all of us, as well as lots of other hockey news, whatever we could break, our Facebook feeds or Twitter feeds, everything else. So we got that. And let's go right to the Islanders. And especially since Mr. LaRocco down there should be happy because they are back to NHL 500, 7-2-1 in their last 10. I put this in quotes. The Islanders right now sit in last place in the Metro, but they've also played 6 less games than the Flyers and the Devils. Their goal differential, Anthony, is getting down to 0, and that's a good thing. And their next 7 games, 3 of them are at home. Versus playoff teams, all 7 are at home. So
yeah, you know what? It's funny. Like I think one of the great things about our game and sports in general is, sometimes you could just have a good team that runs into a bad patch for a host of reasons. In this instance, may cost me, but I still like our sport and how this stuff could happen. But listen, the Islanders, we all know what they faced at the beginning of the year. The 13-game road trip, the stops and starts. COVID ravaged their team right before the first ever game at UBS. The Pullock injury, the Nelson injury. I think we all know that at the root of it, the Islanders are a good team. I always reference Dan Rosen said it himself when he was on our show before the season. He even said that he sees no holes in this Islander team. A lot of people predict them to go very far. So maybe this is them becoming that team again. 6-1-1 in the last 8. It's nothing to sneeze at. Mark, you worth the record in the last 10. It's all very good. I think that they're on the right path. They're healthy, minus Ryan Pullock, who should be returning, I would say, hopefully the next 2 weeks. And Kyle Palmieri, who hadn't been playing particularly well anyway, but they're healthy. I think they're feeling good about themselves. And, they're playing more Islander hockey. And listen, 14 points. It is a big haul. However, it's honestly not insurmountable. I mean, my personal opinion, I think that it might be a little too late at the end of the day. They might fall short by a couple points, but who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. We'll have to see. But they're on a good streak right now. And the next, 8 of 9 are at home. They got a team against a bad Arizona team on Friday. After a hard start at UBS Arena, they're 5-0-1 in their last 6 at home, and they're going to be playing a lot at home. So, that plays their advantage. And then the game's in hand. So, listen, you never know, but they're playing good hockey. And, for an Islander fan, this is probably the best part of the season that we've had so far.
Phil.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good stretch for them. But I look at that 7-2-1 in their last 10, and I look at the strength of their schedule, and it's pretty weak. I mean, look at it. Their last 10 games have been the Devils, which they won 4-2, the Red Wings 2-1, the Bruins they lost to the Red Wings 2-1. Sorry, they beat the Bruins 3-1. Okay, good team. Vegas Golden Knights, good team. They lost in a shootout. They beat the Sabres, garbage, 4-1. They beat the Oilers in overtime, 3-2. But again, they're not a good team right now on New Year's Day. Then they beat the Devils 3-2. Not a good team, another garbage team. They lost to the Capitals, got shut out 2-0. They beat the Flyers 4-1 like they should, and then it took them to a shootout yesterday to beat the Flyers So, I mean, and their games coming up after this: Coyotes, bad; Leafs, good; Flyers, bad; Kings, pretty good; Kraken, bad; Wild, good; Senators, bad; Sharks, pretty good; Kings, pretty good; Ducks, pretty good; Avalanche. That West Coast trip is really going to be a litmus test for me, for the Islanders. So while they may be back and they were never as bad as their record indicated, I still think that their weak strength of schedule definitely helped them out in their last 10. So you're like I said, when that West Coast trip comes around, you're really going to see what that team is made of. So I mean, their best players are going to start playing like their best. Palmieri needs to be better. Ilya Sorokin was never the problem. He was always really good for them. It just they played like crap in front of him for the most part. I need more out of Matt Barzal. Brock Nelson needs to start scoring like he was scoring at the beginning of the year again. I mean, he was a house of fire earlier on. Anthony Beuvillier has kind of been disappointing for me. I haven't seen that. Oliver Wahlstrom's shown you flashes, but then he's kind of gone back to where he was before. But I'm not going to blame that on Wahlstrom. I'm going to blame part of that on Barry Trotz and his mishandling of him. I don't like the way he's handled Oliver Wahlstrom. I don't get how you waited until, the 9th round of a shootout to shoot him when he's the best pure shooter on your team. Makes absolutely no sense. So, I still think they have their host of problems to deal with. I still think it's a long way to go for them, but they're not as bad as this record and their standing, the place in the standings would indicate.
Yeah, but you know what? You got to beat the teams that are on your schedule, and that's the way they're going to get back into it. You were saying it before about the West Coast swing and how that could be even more devastating if they decide to throw the 4 Canadian games or over there, because that could be even worse.
The league announced the rescheduled games for the February when they were supposed to be in the Olympic break. So that was just announced. The Islanders are going to Western Canada, I think, starting February 9th. They're going out to play those games.
Okay, so it's February 9th. And, I'm sorry, because it just announced it before, so I don't have these up. What are they, Ed? Can you? I
got to take a second glance, too. It's early February. They're going out to Western Canada.
Okay, and then are they coming back and then back out again?
I have to really examine it. Honestly, I didn't see.
All right.
Right here.
Yeah.
The 9th,
by the way, 11th. Great shirt, Phil.
Sean just pointed it out, so I just had to give him his his confirmation and his positive reinforcement because he saw that. So.
Arguably their best album, but it could be either that Master of Puppets. Anthony, what do you got?
They come back, they play Buffalo at Buffalo, and then they come home.
And then they come home?
Yeah.
All right. So it's 2 different trips, right?
Yeah.
I mean, either way, that's still going to be brutal on them. But I mean, the good news for them is right now, guys getting a lot of feedback.
No, but there's other background noise going on somebody's part.
My daughter.
Yeah, we'll get that figured out in just 1 second. But Matt Barzal is back and he's working 12 games. He's over a point a game, as you always want to point out, Phil, and that's a good thing. Robin Salo, and then by the way, yes, Master, I would say, is their best album if you press me. But Robin Salo been producing for them, scored his first goal in the NHL last night, and this is a quote that he had: "It feels good to play. It's a tough league," and he's just trying to get better and build some confidence. So the question, but Anthony was so chomping at the bit, I never even got to ask, would be, are the Islanders making a run at making the playoffs right now? Which, that's terrible writing, by the way. You shouldn't put the same word to is that what you were about to say?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's terrible. That's awful. That's just all right, there we go. Are the Islanders having a run making the playoffs? By the way, you know what? You gotta beat these teams. You gotta get some momentum, and you gotta close the gap to the Bruins, because that's the team I think that the Islanders have a shot at catching. And there are some good teams in the East right now. So it's still possible that they could do it. They got a very heavy backloaded schedule, as most teams do, but the Islanders even more. They played the fewest amount of games in the league. So if they want to do it, the time is now. It's that simple.
Well, yeah. In order to do it, they're going to have to play at the rate that they're playing right now. Like this stretch they're on now, they need to keep that going. But listen, the players in the locker room are different than us in the media, fans. They just take it one game at a time. I think they probably don't even look at the standings and see, okay, well we're 14 behind Boston. I just think their headspace now just has to be go out and try to win every game, and then you let the chips fall where they fall. They just have to focus on a single game. They can't look too far ahead because then the big picture could be overwhelming. But listen, if they just keep winning hockey games, that's all they could do. And like I said, if Boston falters, that makes their lives easier. But they just have to focus on them. They can't really worry about anybody else right now. And if they play this level of hockey, who knows? Like I said, it's going to be tough, but at least they're going to give themselves a fighting chance if they play like this. If they play 500 hockey, not going to be so much. But if they could continue winning at this rate, I think they can at least make it close. So,
Tuukka plays more games like he did last night. The Islanders have a good shot.
Who?
Tuukka Rask.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Carolina absolutely killed them, but that's another story.
And it's also after ceremonies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, but I don't know, not to get too Boston, but Rask is older and he hasn't played. He's coming off surgery. I don't know how effective he's going to be going forward. But listen, again, as far as the Islanders go, just got to keep winning hockey games. It's plain and simple. But they have the team. They have the team in the locker room. They weren't picked to possibly be a Stanley Cup finalist for no reason. Nothing's changed. So if they could just keep playing like this, and this is the real team, we'll see what happens.
Phil?
The one good thing that I think that they have going for them, considering their problems on defense, is the fact that now you have Noah Dobson emerging as a real credible defenseman. He looks like he's a legitimate top four defenseman right now, and they've needed that. They still need another defender or two. Robin Salo getting his first goal was good for him. I thought he's been pretty good for when he's for coming in, stepping into the lineup in this situation and having to try to help pick up the pieces of a team that really got off to a bad start. But I will say that Noah Dobson's really been one of the big heroes for that team so far. They need more out of, like I said, they need more out of Oliver Wahlstrom. But again, I'm not going to kill him for it as much as I want to get on Barry Trotz and the way that he is with young players. I need more out of Josh Bailey. Josh Bailey, to me, has not done nearly enough for that team.
And he scored a goal last night.
He scored a goal last night, yeah, but he needs to do more. Kyle Palmieri has been Mr. Invisibility for that team. If he was a part of the Fantastic Four, he would be the Invisible Man, not the Invisible Woman. But you need more out of him. Matt Barzal has had his peaks and valleys, and he needs to start being more towards the peaks. There are a lot of guys who have contributed here and there, but they need to start firing on all cylinders consistently. They've done a little more of that lately, but I just wonder how sustainable a near 800 winning percentage is for the rest of the season. I think
that's where the tough part is going to come in, because they're going to have over a 780 winning percentage if everybody stays on their pace. But you know what? As Anthony pointed out, the regular season, it's the regular season for a reason, because everybody's going to have peaks and valleys. Nobody's going to be on this Xbox level of production. By the way, when we did the New Year's resolutions, I said the Islanders had to get younger. They had to get faster. That's what they've been doing. They've got Bellows and Wahlstrom. They're playing a lot more, and it's with Salo in the lineup. It's right now it's working. If they can keep that going, there you go. But one piece of news, and also to say what the temperament of the team could be. One is Adam Pelech made the All-Star game. So I want your thought on that real quick, Anthony. The fan finally getting recognition.
I mean, it's really nice to see him get that recognition. He's not an offensive defenseman at all. So I was surprised he was the representative. Like, listen, I know Barzal's numbers aren't eye-popping, but I mean, he's kind of what you want in an all-star game skills competition because he's got the flash, he's got that skill. So I figured they would have sent him. They would have sent him anyway. But I don't know. So I was surprised by it. But good for Adam Pelech. I think he's a fantastic defenseman. He's one of the best shutdown defensemen in the league. And it's nice to see him get the recognition. So good on him.
And there was also a pretty funny moment that happened this week, and Anthony pointed it out to me. It was that this happened sort of like the worst translation ever.
Ilya, I believe you've won your last 3 starts here. Just how comfortable are you feeling in between the pipes? Thank you.
In the net. How comfortable are you in the net?
Good, comfortable, yeah. We have a good transition. Play one game me, one game Varley, and have a good tonus and feel good.
Like they translated English to English right there for him. So hopefully that's just how loose the team is, and maybe it'll even carry on. By the way, if anybody's going to be at the Islander game this week, I will actually be at the Islander game this week, and my hockey team has a game afterwards. Feel free to watch and be like, where's Mark? No, he's on the bench. All right, that's where he is. So there's a chance you might even see Mr. Larocco as well. So what do you think of the Islanders actually making a playoff push? Guys, throw it all down in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe as well. We're going to move on to going across the river to the Rangers. And if you haven't watched the final buzzer or checked out the good and bad and ugly reviews with the man that's right over there, Mr. John Velkowski, you would have actually have missed moments like this.
In New York 5 weeks ago, that was a power play goal, and that turned out to be the only goal. Chytil to Strome, back, and they score! Braden Schneider! Baby! Yeah! Goal! It is.
So yes, it's great. It's pure joy in that reaction. So, Phil, the other team's road trip. The Rangers finished 3-2 on their road trip after wins over San Jose and Philadelphia. They improve to 54 points, second in the Metro Division. Goal differential is going up, which is always a good thing. And since moving FIlip Chytil to the wing, he's been a point-per-game player. Is that going to be sustainable? We'll find out about that. Go ahead.
No, that's more than likely not sustainable. It's probably as sustainable as Colin Blackwell's shooting percentage last year. Just to put things in perspective. But it's good to see him playing well in the wing. He's been pushed into that center role. The Rangers have been trying to fit the round peg in the square hole for so long now, and they finally realized, hey, this ain't working. So let's give this kid a shot. And with Alexis Lafreniere and COVID protocol, they decided to go with FIlip Chytil there. And I mean, he looks better. He looks a little more comfortable. As you know, fundamentally speaking with hockey, if you are playing on the wing, your responsibilities defensively are not nearly as much as those of a center. So it's less responsibility on him. It's less pressure on him. And I think we're just seeing a kid that's just going out there and playing with the chains off, which is good. Their last 5 games with this road trip, I mean, they got absolutely shellacked by the Golden Knights because they can't seem to beat them. Come back with a strong win against the Ducks, one of their best games all year. Then they come back and they get, beaten by the Kings, which was one of their worst performances all year, and then 2 solid performances in a row against the Sharks, a good team. Then the reeling Flyers, which they only beat by a goal, which is not great.
More on that in a minute.
Yeah, exactly. So, but we're not with the power play is starting to falter a little bit. They were a 6th ranked power play. Now they're down to 10th. The penalty kill is getting better. Now they're up to 3rd, which is great. So, I mean, some of the things are kind of, I won't say falling into place, but this team still needs to be better at 5-on-5. They're still abysmal at 5-on-5, to say the least. Some of the analytics on their guys at 5-on-5 will tell you, like, players like Panarin are not producing 5-on-5 at all. Something needs to change there. I like what I've seen from Mika Zibanejad and Chris Kreider. They really upped their game, the two of them. Chris Kreider now has 24 goals. A certain somebody is really happy that he's only 6 away from 30. Yeah, you might even have a shot at 40 this year, buddy, if you keep that up.
I will take it.
Yeah, so, well, I'll take it too. Kakko, I want to see more from him. He's had some games where he's looked good, and then some others where he's just been flat out invisible. Ryan Strom's been pretty strong. Maybe sans a couple of games recently, but over the last, I would say, 10, 20 games, he's been really good for them. And it's funny that you asked this question, why are they so bad on 5-on-5? You know what? I've noticed differences between Gallant's system and Quinn's system, or Quinn's lack of a system, I should say. But with Gallant, there's a lot of attention to detail all over the places. They say he's not an X's and O's guy. I call shenanigans on that. He's absolutely an X's and O's guy. And I think that's part of it has affected their play at 5-on-5. You're seeing guys like Panarin struggling at 5-on-5, but they come through on the power play and bang, goal. You know, and this team is a quick strike team. Out of nowhere, they can just come up and put up a goal or two. So, but yeah, I need more out of the bottom 6 in terms of offense. The third line's got to give you more. Fourth line's consistent. I even like this new little pack line they put together with Brodzinski, Gettinger, and Barron that was playing together for a minute. They were really good. So I hope Morgan Barron stays in this lineup. He's ready. Braden Schneider has shown me that he's ready. I think it's time to start playing the kids and start shooting off guys like Nemeth into the sun, because they don't need to be in this lineup anymore. Libor Hayek should never play another game. Jared Tenorti should never play another game unless there's health issues with this team. So that's what I'm seeing.
Well, coming up for the New York Rangers this week, you have the Carolina Hurricanes, where they're going to Carolina, and they're welcoming in the Toronto Maple Leafs tonight. So, Anthony, I should have led Philkin with this, but instead I let him in with Filipino. Is this a statement week for the New York Rangers, you think?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it's any different than really any other week. I mean, they've been tested and played good teams before. And as I said a lot of times now, I mean, I think you could kind of stop saying, is this a, testament game for the Rangers, or is this a make or break week for the Rangers? The Rangers at this point are further enough in the season that you know what they are. They're a good hockey team. They're going to contend for the division. They're not as experienced as some other teams who have been winning a lot lately, but they're there. And I don't think this is a statement week for the Rangers. Some of these teams, I think they're already on par with it or better than. So no, I don't. I think Toronto has a lot of holes in their lineup still. I know they're a little better, I think, than they've been in the past in some areas, like defensively. And Jack Campbell, despite me trying to give him credit or like him, I mean, he's played well enough now for the last year and a half that I got to give him his due. I think he's second in the league in save percentage when you filter out all the goalies who haven't met the games played requirements. So, and then Carolina, I would say Carolina and Washington are the two teams that I think might give the Rangers the most problems in the regular season or the playoffs. But no, I think the Rangers can match up against anybody. I think sometimes, occasionally, they still play down to their opponent too much, or for whatever reason don't show up, like that Kings game. And that's a habit that you would hope will slowly, exit from their game as they continue to, learn from a new coach and get more experience. But no, so again, I don't think it's a statement week for them. They are what they are. I think that, they can really stand to add a more useful third line center. I think they could really improve in that area of the ice. I don't think Chytil's a center in my opinion. And then after him, they could really use another pivot in the middle to stabilize them. So, but no, I think the Rangers, whether they win or lose these two games, it shouldn't really make much of a difference in anybody's eyes about how they feel about them going forward.
By the way, number one in all those categories, goals against and save percentage when you filter out all the backups and everything, Igor Shesterkin. So, but yeah, I think it's kind of good to see Carolina and see what they're at. Even though there's a long way to go in this season, it's only their first meeting. It's not so much a litmus test as much as it's sort of like, what are we going to be up against the rest of the year? They could be thinking. You know what? It's not a be all end all if they lose both games. So, but you also want to maybe win them both and let the other teams know the Rangers are going to be there the rest of the season. They'll see about that. So, also going back into other Rangers news, Adam Fox and Chris Kreider were selected for the All-Star game. Mika Zibanejad won the last man vote in, which I then posted on the page and was saying, hey, he won the vote, and then realized he couldn't play. That's not good part. That's almost as bad as my headline in the Islanders one. So, you know, just thoughts on Fox and Kreider, but no Panarin, Phil.
I get it. He's been up and down this year. I mean, he's still putting up points. Looking at his points totals this year, I believe he's still well over a point per game. I'm just going to pull those up now. Yeah, he's 38 points in 34 games. So, I mean, it's not what he's been scoring at in the previous 2 seasons. I still think part of that's an adjustment to a lot of system and everything. But I'm okay with that. Adam Fox definitely deserves it. Adam Fox, again, with the way that he's been playing. Chris Kreider, absolutely. When you're, 3rd or 4th in the league in goals, yeah, you kind of deserve to be there. And Chris Kreider, not only that, has been pretty damn good away for puck, too. I'm not going to say that he's a Selke caliber defensive player. I don't think he's even close to that, but he's been above average defensively. His game has improved away from the puck. It really has. So I'll give him credit there. And, you know, Igor Shesterkin not being in there is just absolute lunacy. I want to know who the hell thought that was a good idea, not having him there. How do you have the guy that's leading in 2 major goaltending categories is not in there? Okay, Slappy.
Well,
good job.
We're going to have more on that in about a few more minutes. So, yeah.
Mika Zibanejad making it as the last man in vote. Awesome. I mean, personal reasons. You know, I hope he's not, punished for not going. But you know what? It was good to see him get the vote.
All right. Well, guys, what do you think about the Rangers this week? Is it a statement week, or is it just just another game? Throw it all down in the comments below. How about Foxy and Kreider going to the All-Star game? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We're going to do some bar talk because we got a lot of topics we are chomping at the bit about. So let's get that.
I'm going to take a shot on this one. I'm going to say beer.
I'm buying everybody around on this. Oh, my God.
All right, guys. Welcome back to Big Apple Hockey Bar Talk, where we gauge our confidence on NHL topics based on our choice of drink. Are you so confident that you're buying everybody around? You're not that confident. You really need a shot. Or, it's so-so. I'll take a beer. But you can also put your wow, I don't understand what happened. Brain fart right there. You can also play along, put your comments in there, beer, shot, and buying everyone. Don't be afraid of it. All right, guys, we're going to start with this one and setting the clock. The New York Rangers should stay away from JT Miller, Mr. John Falkowski.
I'm going to buy around because I think that the price might end up being too much, and he's got term left after his deal at a somewhat high rate of just over $5 million for his AAV for next year. So I'm definitely buying around on this. As I said, if they're going to go get anyone, it's going to be a rental, or it's going to be somebody that has term but is team controlled at a very team friendly AAV.
Anthony.
I'm going to go round 2. Kind of like they already been there before with him. He's a good player. I'm not taking anything away from him, but as FIlip mentioned, he's got term left. The Rangers have some other contracts coming up that they have to take care of. Don't forget Adam Fox's extension is going to kick in next year. You don't want to complicate things even more. And I think there could be some better fits out there, cheaper fits too. Lawson Krause is one that comes to mind. So good player. I think he can really help a team if Vancouver decides to move him, which honestly I'm not totally certain they are. I mean, all of a sudden Vancouver has more points than Edmonton. So he might stay there, but I'll go round.
All right, let's make it a clean sweep. I'm going to go round, and since I have 6 seconds left, he was not the greatest defensive player, and he's so-so center. So there's a reason why he was moved to the wing, guys. Moving on, the Islanders need to keep Kyle Palmieri out of the lineup when he's healthy. I got to go to you, Mr. LaRocco.
I got to preface this first by saying, yes, he was bad so far this year. He has 1 goal, but they say need to keep him out of the lineup. It almost implies like he's like a Nemeth, like Komarov player. It's not the case. I mean, let's face it. He was great in the playoffs, and aside from his regular season last year, the guy had 4 or 5 years in a row where he scored no less than 24 goals. I mean, that's like literally the definition of consistency when it comes to producing. So, and then lastly, there's the contract aspect to throw into that too. So, listen, like Bellows is playing really well right now, and taking him out when he's probably playing the best hockey of his career might be a big blow to the confidence that he finally gained, because that's really the only realistic guy that's going to come out of the lineup for him. No one else is going to sit for him. So it's going to be hard to do that. So I get the premise of this question, but I'm going to say shot, because I think when he's healthy, he's going to get back in the lineup.
Phil.
I'm going to actually say round here, because I like what I've seen from Kiefer Bellows in this time. Not that I am a big believer in Kiefer Bellows. I mean, he's scoring at like a 40-point pace right now. It's only 18 games, and we'll see if he can sustain that. But I like what I've seen more from him this year than I have seen from Kyle Palmieri. And if it comes down to Bellows or Palmieri sits. I don't care about his contract at this point. I always preach the word meritocracy, and that, if you're not playing well, you shouldn't be in the lineup. And Palmieri shouldn't be in the lineup because he has not played well. So keep Bellows in the lineup. Round.
I'm going to go beer, and I think you got to run him out there. You got to get him to start clicking. And I agree with the meritocracy, and I also agree you can't just sit him forever, because Kyle Palmieri was a very consistent player. It's just which Kyle Palmieri is going to show up, playoff Palmieri or regular season Palmieri. That's what they need to do, and that's what they need to figure out. Moving on, the Philadelphia Flyers will have to blow it all up very soon. Boys, I'm going to set the timer, and I'm going to start this out by buying everybody around. They are not only going to have to blow it up, but goodness only knows what the plan is. Remember when there was the talk about Ivan Provorov being a potential Norris Trophy finalist at some point, or even winner? Shane Gostisbehere was this offensive defenseman that changed around the game. They had all this young talent, Travis Sanheim, Sam Morin, and the Farabee, and all these other guys. Not really they're not really gelling as a team. So I just don't see it. And you're gonna have to get rid of some of the bigger veterans, and I don't know where they go from here. That's my number one problem. I have no solutions for them. Phil.
Yeah, I'm buying around on this. Claude Giroux's contract is up. I would try to get as much as you can for him at this deadline. If I could move Kevin Hayes, I would move Kevin Hayes. I just don't know if anybody's going to take on him at $7 million, because he just has not been worth that contract at all. Travis Sanheim has been disappointing, in my opinion. I love Joel Farabee. I think he's a great player, but they need a serious restart in Philly. So round.
Anthony.
I'm going to go beer. Giroux's contract's up, so he's going to probably be gone at some point. But, I mean, who do they have to move? I mean, Philip mentioned Kevin Hayes. I don't know if anyone's touching that contract. They're not going to move Sean Couturier, nor, I mean, really, they should. Joel Farabee is I like him a lot. I like Konechny. Provorov, I think, is actually a pretty good defenseman. I have no really problems with him. Just he can't do it all himself. As Phil mentioned, Sanheim hasn't really lived up his expectations, and that's hard. And then Carter Hart rebounded. He's got a 9-11 save percentage. That's not particularly good, but being how bad he was last year, that's a big improvement. So yeah, Beer, only because I really don't know who they could really move and the players they would want to move, like Van Riemsdyk or Hayes. I don't know if anyone's taking those contracts. I
do got to say this. Last night's game, Carter Hart's knocking the stick that I think it was Zdeno Chara was in the box and he was coming out. So it's the end of the power play. Provorov gets the puck. He skates up to about the top of the circles and then does a little drop pass to no one. Like that. I know it's indicative of one play, but it's not his season or his career. But what's he doing? And yes, he can't do it all by himself. And even in all this, I forgot to flash up that the Flyers have 34 points and they're 25th in the NHL. So we're going to move on. Guys, this is a big one. We've been talking about this one for a while. We're going to have to do it again. If the Edmonton Oilers miss the playoffs, Connor McDavid will demand a trade. Philk.
This one's a tough one. I'm going to say Beer just because I don't know if he necessarily does it now, but there is going to be a major shakeup if Edmonton misses the playoffs, and there is going to be media hell. If you think Leon Draisaitl getting pissy, as Jim Matheson says, with him is bad, you just wait for the shitstorm that happens if Edmonton misses the playoffs. So I'm going to go Beer here.
Anthony.
In the context of this question, I'm going to go Shot because I don't think it's going to be this year that he asks for out. But if things don't change in the next 2 years, because he's got 4 years left on his contract, if I'm not mistaken.
McDavid.
So, yeah.
Yeah, we'll double check that, but I believe it's 4.
So, I mean, he very well might, maybe halfway through with 2 years left, he may say if nothing changes, he has enough and asks for out. I just don't think it's going to happen this offseason. Even if they
4 years left, and then his no movement clause kicks in this offseason.
All right.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening this year. I would be shocked if it came this early, but I will say, like, again, I think it will happen if things don't improve. I mean, this team is a disaster. I mean, they're just, you could see what happened with Draisaitl and the press conference. You know, you could see tensions are high. They're obviously pissed off, rightfully so. Were they 2-10-2 in their last 14 games, I believe?
Yes,
so
actually, I had it right. Right here. In the last 10 is 2-6-2. Yes, I believe you're right. 2-10-2.
You're trying to make them look better, but the whole thing, that's even worse. They're not playing good hockey, and things a mess there in Edmonton. So, boy, I mean, yeah, that's going to be a tough situation if they do miss, but I don't think it's happening this soon.
And by the way, we're going to play that clip for you in a second that we keep talking about, but I'm going to go Beer. I'm not going to buy everybody around. I've been predicting gloom and doom on this since Jack Eichel last year. But let me just flash this one out at you for you guys. Well, I had the upcoming games. There aren't many wins in there. And then the last time the Oilers won a playoff game, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 opened at the box office. Wow. Yeah. You were wasting Connor McDavid's career.
Corey Perry was still an Anaheim Duck.
Yeah, and by the way, let me also say, I'm not counting the play-in round. So that was ridiculous, which, by the way, we'll get to the play-in round in a moment, too. But there's a lot of problems that are going on in Edmonton, and I'm not sure if Connor McDavid wants to stick around for it, especially when you just don't you don't know if he's the perfect solution. What can he do? I mean, he scored 100 points last year. They didn't win a damn game in the playoffs. It's amazing and just mind-boggling. And boys, here is that clip we were talking about right now.
Lots of reasons for why the Oilers are playing the way they are in terms of winning and losing. What do you think is the number one reason for the losses now? Is there one thing that you, in your own mind, you're saying we got to get better at that?
Yeah, we have to get better at everything.
Would you like to expand on that?
No. You can do that. You know everything.
Why are you so pissy, Leon? Why are you so pissy?
I'm not. I'm just answering your
question. Yeah, you are. Whenever I ask you a question.
I gave you an answer.
Not very good one.
Okay.
I have one more for you. Leon, you showed your frustration on the ice last game against Ottawa. Is that a good thing when you show it so the other team knows you're frustrated?
Yeah, it's a great thing, for sure.
Good.
Yeah. And by the way, why is he asking that question? That's ridiculous.
What
Why
question?
Are you so pissy?
Oh, that question.
Like, what reporter asked that question?
He's basically setting him up for a gotcha type moment to try to throw his teammates under the bus. And when Leon doesn't take the bait, he gets annoyed that Leon doesn't take the bait and sees right through his garbage. That's right. A joke, man. That's a joke.
And he deserved the response that Draisaitl gave him.
Good. I have no and you know what? Ryan Callahan last night was on the ESPN telecast of the Flyers-Islanders game, and he came right out and said, good for Leon for not taking the bait and giving him the answer that he gave him. Good. You know what? When I wish more players would do this and show the personalities that they have. Because you know what? The media out there, and you know what? It's funny that I'm saying this because we're trying to be in the media here. You know, that a lot of these guys want to, you know, play games with these guys and put them into corners and trap them. And you know what? And Matheson got frustrated. And Matheson has been doing this in Edmonton for years with all different types of players. So, you know what? Good on Leon for telling it how it is and giving him a taste of his own medicine. Too bad. So sad.
Anthony, your thoughts on the question?
Sure. I just thought that's funny. I said this last week. We're talking about a McDavid trade.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
For these fans clamoring to get him, you're not realizing your team's going to look a whole lot of it different once he's on the roster to the point where it's not worth it. But as far as the Draisaitl mix-up with Matheson, listen, I think it's not just Draisaitl that's frustrated. Let's face it, when you're a reporter and you cover a team that's just been disappointing for so long and not living to expectations, just like the player, I think it gets to you, and you become frustrated too. I don't think it was a perfect storm. But listen, it is what it is. It's a dust up. I'm sure that there's no ill will there long term and they'll be fine. But good for Leon Draisaitl kind of giving it back to him for sure.
You know, that was an interesting perspective on that, Ant. I never even had that come to mind anyway. But about being a reporter and being frustrated as you're covering the team.
Yeah,
so,
and you know what? And they're frustrated too because some of these guys get attached to the team and they want the team to do well. And I get that, but you can't handle yourself in that type of way and expect not to get that type of response from Draisaitl or anyone that you're asking that type of question to in that kind of inflammatory way. That's it.
Yeah, and that's just the way to say it. Guys, next week we're going to be doing our mid-season awards, and one name that's going to be coming up is going to be the name right here. Jonathan Huberdeau is a Hart Trophy finalist. Philk, what do you think?
I know I've said this a few weeks back, maybe a month or so, maybe a little longer, but yeah, he's got to be right there in it. I'm buying around on this. This guy is doing everything in Florida. Alexander Barkov is not having the year that you would expect offensively from a guy like him. And for me, I mean, this was a guy that in 2019 scored a point per game, actually 90 points in 2019. Barkov only has 29 and 26. That's still really good, but he's missed time. And Huberdeau has picked up the slack while he's missed that time with 53 points in 39 games for Florida. So that's pretty damn good. So I'm buying around on this.
Anthony.
Yeah, I'm doing a round as well. I think he's been incredibly important to this Panthers team. As Phil said with Barkov's still an amazing player, but I feel like Huberdeau is really driving this team right now. He leads the league in assists. He's fourth in the NHL in points, as you see there. He could do it all: pass, shoot. He could skate really well. He could dangle. And he's had great years before this. He's been producing at a high level for the last couple of years. So it'll be nice to see him get some recognition. So right now, honestly, him and Ovechkin, it would be a toss-up for me, but he's definitely a finalist if not winning it.
I'm going to buy around too, boys. And I wasn't exactly on the Jonathan Huberdeau bandwagon exactly, but he's 2 points behind Alexander Ovechkin for the league lead. And he's fourth right now, but that could change in just one game. This team puts up goals in buckets all the time. And yeah, it's Huberdeau. It's Huberdeau doing most of it. So I just heard something. I just wanted to make sure I had that clear. All right, guys, speaking about just repeating ourselves over and over again. And this one I kind of threw back in there. The Colorado Avalanche will not win a cup because of their goaltending. And I got to start it for you guys and set you up. I'm buying around. I'm buying around all over the place today. Geez, wouldn't you love to see me at the bar tonight? I mean, this team, like, they're giving up 3.21 goals a game. And Darcy Kemper, I know I have him in fantasy. Yeah, he's got 17 wins. Look at that goals against and save percentage. That's not going to win you a playoff series. So I got to go with that. And despite the fact that I'm not rooting against the Avalanche. So, Anthony, jump in on this.
I will say that their style of hockey they play doesn't really tend to benefit them in the playoffs. So when things really tighten up and their offense maybe dries up a little bit, and if Kemper's not up to the task, they're going to get their doors blown off. So right now he's not living up to their standards. But again, you got to remember the Avalanche play like a run and gun style of hockey. That's not really favorable to your goalie. So I think their team's much better than them in their own end defensively, but not as good offensively. So I think there is like that point where it evens out. But I will say, I don't think their style of hockey can win a Stanley Cup. They can win them a round or so. But anything further than that, I'm not sure about. So I think I won't really quite join you on the round train there, but I will say beer.
All right, Phil.
I'm going to say beer because not just because of Kemper himself, but because of the fact that guys like Makar aren't great defensively. Yeah, Makar is probably the best offensive defenseman in the league. I mean, the skating and the shooting are just ridiculous. But their team defense isn't great. I mean, and you're like Anthony said, when you get into the playoffs, games start to tighten up, and that's when offense starts to go down a bit. And I just don't think Colorado was built to win overall. And then when you have to get down to the goaltending and the matchups matter more in the playoffs, you have Kemper up against guys like Leonard, and some of the other guys in the conference. And then even if they get to the Stanley Cup Finals, could you imagine if the Rangers somehow got there and it was a matchup between Kemper and Shesterkin? The Rangers absolutely had that one in the bag right there, that matchup. So I'm not saying overall, but the goaltending matchup, they win it. Darcy Kemper, to me, when the teams that end up making the playoffs, Darcy Kemper is going to be one of the worst goaltenders of all the playoff teams out there, in my opinion. So, which
is what's funny because 2 years ago he stole the play-in round to get Arizona in.
Yeah,
and this guy has the potential to be one of the better goaltenders, but he's never put it together.
I just don't trust him. So
yeah,
I'm staying with beer here,
and especially on that team. One guy has been playing really well over the last 2 months and had a great game last weekend versus the Washington Capitals is Thatcher Demko. Thatcher Demko is proving that he's a franchise goalie. Phil.
I really like his performance. I like the way that he played in the play-in round, and now the way that he's playing again this year. He's not playing behind a great team. That's the problem for me. I mean, 17-14-1 with a 9-12, or no, I'm sorry, 9-17 save percentage and a 2.62 goals against. It's pretty good. I don't know if I'm ready to say, because it depends on the term franchise. Are we talking like an elite level goaltender, or are we just talking like a legitimate starter?
No, legitimate starter and somebody that you could build a team around. Not necessarily elite. Elite puts him in the top 5.
Yeah, I don't know if I would build a team around Thatcher Demko, but he's a legitimate starter. So I'm gonna say beer here because I just think that this is a little too open to interpretation the way you worded it. I'm sorry. So
Okay, well, that's a Mark special right there, Anthony.
He's not a franchise goaltender, shot, but he is. I think he is a very formidable number 1 goalie. A 917 save percentage is nothing to sneeze at. But I wouldn't quite say that percentage is elite. So shot, but he is a good goalie, and I think he is good enough to get the Canucks to the playoffs. Maybe not this year, but in general, and maybe even win a round or two. So, but he's not a franchise elite level goalie.
I'm actually going to go beer, and I know I put in the stats and put in everything, but we'll see exactly where he's going to be. I give Demko all the credit in the world, but this is definitely the Bruce Boudreau effect, because you can't help but notice it's those last 14 games where Bruce Boudreau was there, and he's gotten
it's to be
great.
expected. I know that listing his numbers for the whole season doesn't really tell the whole story. It's like Georgiev. When Igor went down, Georgiev's numbers went from like an 8.68 or something like that save percentage to like a 940. I mean, it's stupid, but I don't know. I'm not ready to say that he's a franchise goaltender, but he's a very, very, very good starter. So,
all right, and our second to last topic. Actually, I didn't turn the timer on that one. I'll do that for this one. Anthony, I'll start with you. The All-Star Game rosters got it right.
Shot. But you get this every year. You get list of players who got snubbed. The media says, I can't believe they didn't get in, and fans upset about it. And it's all valid. But you also have to remember there's circumstances that go into it. Like, listen, Shesterkin leads the league in a lot of goaltending categories. He's been nothing short of outstanding. I can see why Ranger fans are just questioning why he wasn't in it and, feel robbed, which is true. But there's like the circumstances that I mentioned that go into it. One, the league doesn't want so many players from one team, in the game. Two, you never know. Maybe it's just a lot of players you hear in the media don't want to play in the All-Star game. Maybe Igor Shesterkin didn't want to play in the All-Star game. We don't know. Three, with that same tune, maybe the player from the Penguins that they wanted to select, let's say Crosby or Gensel, who eventually got in, didn't want to play in it. So then they had to pick another person on their team. They go, okay, well, who else is performing at a high level? All right, Tristan Jarry's like, 4th in the league in save percentage. We got to take Jarry. And that means, okay, well, now Shesterkin gets bumped out. So they didn't not take Igor Shesterkin because they, said, oh, he's not good, or we don't like him, or want to snub him. There's things that go into it. So by first glance, you look at it and you say it's a tire fire and so many guys that missed should have got in, and there's absolutely right. But when you take a step back and you look at it, there's situations that really play into who they pick and the reasons for it. So that's what I'll say about that.
Mr. Fikowski.
Shot, and like you said, this way every year. Somebody's always snubbed. Somebody's always this and that. But this is the biggest thing for me here. You have to have. Why is it that every team has to have a representative? Why? If a team doesn't deserve to have a representative, then don't send somebody from that team. That was like when what was it? Ottawa had to send somebody in 93. Why did Ottawa get to send somebody in 93 when they were an absolute dumpster fire? It just, there's no point in this. Like Adam Pelech, yeah, he's good, but is he having an all-star year? No, by all means, he's not having the years that he's had in years past. I mean, Arizona, why is Arizona sending somebody? Why is Buffalo sending somebody? I mean, it just enough with this inclusivity crap with the rules with this. All-stars are meant to be in the all-star game. If you're not having that type of season, you don't go. That's it. And another thing that they screwed up is this. You're going to suspend Mika Zibanejad for not going a game. You're going to suspend him a game for not going. You know what? The NHL, hockey, best sport, absolute worst
league. Well, I'm going to go to beer on this, guys, and only because, as Anthony said before, it's that they constructed this to be a game, and that's what they did. So they got all these. I actually do agree. I think you need to have all representation, because sometimes it's hard to be on those teams that aren't any good. And it's just, well, you got a guy like Tage Thompson. He's having a great season. You reward him, you send him to the All-Star game. I don't even know if he's a representative. I forgot to look. But it's just, which is real professional to say now that I think about that. But it's something that look, the real reason why is that Shesterkin got snubbed because Pittsburgh was sending Tristan Jarry instead. That's really what it comes down to. And the 3-on-3 tournament doesn't give you a lot of room for error. So that's really the last of it. And our last topic.
I can tell you why they send the representative from each team. It's because the league wants to make sure every fan, because hardcore hockey fans will watch no matter what. But you have a casual fan, they feel that it will alienate them if one of their players isn't playing, and those fans won't watch. And I think they want to make sure they have everyone covered so they can get as much viewers as possible.
In the 2000s, wasn't there a year that the Islanders weren't represented?
I don't remember, to be honest with you. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember like when they were bad, they got passed over, and because they went over, they omitted that rule. But
I'm with D. Ely on this. Bring back the 5-on-5 in the East versus West, and you know what? And this game is so boring. Make it worth something playing for. Why don't they do it like the MLB and just give home ice advantage to the conference that wins?
And I mean, all the players get paid. I like it when they put on a show. Like the one moment we could all point to for the All-Star game was, speaking about pointing to it, Owen Nolan calling a shot on Dominik Hasek and going bar down. I like it when the players get to have a little bit more fun doing this and try to use the All-Star game as an exhibition. And in the case of, I think it was 1996, basically it was an audition for Brett Hull to get Wayne Gretzky on the team. And that really didn't work out as well.
Because the 97 one was when Nolan sniped Hasek.
Yeah, no, it's just using the 96 as the example.
Yeah.
What happened something happened in the 96. I remember a team I know what happened in the 96 one. Ray Bourque scoring the game winner with a minute remaining. That's what happened with that one. All right. I'm going to go crazy on this one. I know it's going to happen, guys, but I'll let you guys go first. The NHL is eventually going to go the way of the NFL and Major League Baseball by adding playoff teams and a play-in round. Mr. John Folkowski. Oh, actually, no. Let me go with Anthony first.
I've always been on the fence about this, but this question is what they're eventually going to do, and I think it's been reported that Bettman doesn't want to do it, but I think eventually there's going to be pressure financially and revenue-wise, and they're going to do it. Just like the NFL added the 7th wild card. They didn't have, for the longest time, they didn't have a 7th wild card team, and they did it. And what does it mean? It gets more revenue from the gate, from the team that's playing that home game, whatever it is. More people interested, more games to stream on TV. It's all about revenue. It'll all circle back to money. And listen, COVID has put hard times on the league or any league. and every industry of life for that matter. And hockey's no different. And I think eventually they're going to maybe want to recoup some money and some money grab, and I think they're going to do it eventually. And the second part to that is, aside from money, which the one proponent I kind of agree on, is sometimes you could get a case of where the last team on the outside looking in, let's say, had one less point or were tied, whatever, with the last team that got in, and it was a tiebreaker that got that one team in, and they're going to say, okay, well, what's the difference in competition level and skill wise, and who's to say that team that made it's actually better? And there's that aspect too, and I think that's going to lead to a play-in round or an extra team, whatever it is. But do I agree with it as a whole? Not necessarily, but I think they are eventually going to cave and do it.
You're buying, right?
Yeah, I guess I'll have to buy a round.
Oh, it sucks because you're making a great case, Phil.
This is what we think is going to happen, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go beer because I'm not sure if they will. I think it's possible, but this is too stupid. I mean, I get money, and just Ilya was right about this. Money always wins out. And Anthony brought up the point about the money before. They might want to recoup money, and going forward, if it ends up being a success and it helps on a TV deal or something like that, they're going to stick with that. Could I see it? Sure. I just don't know if and when it'll happen. But it's definitely a possibility. Do I want it to happen? No. Because then now you're diminishing the regular season, and what the hell is the point? So
and thank you to Anthony for changing this around, because now you just change around my entire response. God, I'm buying everybody around. I still might flip out, because it's like, what do we need to have? 32 playoff teams instead? That's basically the regular goddamn season. So it's just so stupid. If you're the 17th best team in the NHL and you couldn't jump over the 8th best team in your conference, play better. Shut up. I am so unbelievably sick and tired of the ever expanding playoffs. Baseball has it perfect right now, so hopefully they won't get any further than that. NFL, you know what? They were able to get one more wild card team in there. Now there's a bye week for the top team. I think that's fine. The NBA is doing this play-in tournament, and it's an absolute joke. It is an absolute joke. Nobody likes this thing, and it's because, if I recall correctly, the Phoenix Suns were great in the bubble, and they were unbeaten, and they couldn't get in. So the NHL, stay away from this, because there aren't many times where you need a team that needs a play-in game, a la the Rangers Flyers in 2010. And I think there might have been a couple other ones, like San Jose versus the Kings in 2012. Islanders Devils. But the Islanders weren't playing against the Devils to make the playoffs. They were just trying to play to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's just no, they don't need this. Hockey's got an 82-game regular season. The whole purpose of baseball doing it for a one-game playoff was to penalize the wild card teams, not reward them, because it got to the point where, first off, thanks, Sean. You reminded me that I have to do one thing: burn in hell, Olli Jokinen. And it's just one of those things. Like, seriously, that was the weakest shootout move I've ever seen anybody ever do. And he's one of the best of all time, which makes it even more frustrating.
No, you're thinking of Jussi Jokinen, who is one of the best at all times in the shootout.
No. Jussi Jokinen is better than his brother, but his brother was still over 50%.
Was he?
Yeah. Olli Jokinen was real good. He used to always score all the time.
He was that high
I thought you were thinking of Jussi Jokinen, who had the really
No, his brother was very good. Well, Jussi Jokinen is one of the best shootout players of all time. But anyway, just again, it's what are we doing here? And you know what, Anthony, you're 100% right. You know what? It's because of one reason. Money. So, all right, guys, that's going to conclude our bar talk. What did you guys think about? What you guys think about whether or not the NHL is going to expand the playoffs, and whether or not they really should? Oh, they're going to do it for the money. Everybody does everything for the money. It's why we can't get a decent NHL game from EA Sports anymore, because it's all the Hockey Ultimate teams. So, do you think the Rangers should stay away from JT Miller, Jonathan Huberdeau, Hart Trophy finalist, Kyle Palmieri, radioactive to the Islanders lineup? Throw it all down in the comments below. I put in a discussion topic because I was having this discussion yesterday, guys, and I need to get your opinions out of this. Where it's I've had it on the special. Oh, by the way, actually, before we do that, I have it over here. Anthony brought this in, or Phil, it might have been you. The NHL is not testing asymptomatic players anymore. Your thoughts on that, guys?
Great. Finally. Just they needed to do this for a while. Other leagues have been doing this. And now hopefully we could stop worrying about players who are symptomatic that are vaccinated. And it just we obviously know that there are two players in this league that are not vaccinated. Tyler Bertuzzi and Evander Kane. And that's it. So
and it's weird that Canadian teams are trying to get Evander Kane with all the vax mandates that they got.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. But next week, we're going to be doing our midseason awards, just to mention that once again. And since every team will be playing their 42nd game, except the New York Islanders, but you'll have to wait probably till sometime in March for you guys to play your 42nd game, Anthony. But guys, who is the best player in the NHL post the 2004-2005 season lockout? Now, the best players, I should say. So I'm going to go and fix that once you guys start talking. But obviously, Crosby, Ovechkin, 1, 2, however you guys want to put it. Argue with me on that. But let's fill in the blanks from, say, 3 to 10.
Wow, 3 to 10?
I mean, Joe Thornton had some pretty good years after the 04 lockout.
Right.
Yeah, Joe Thornton, I believe up until about 2017 was a point per game player in a lot of years. You might have to put him 3 or maybe 4 behind Evgeny Malkin.
You know what? Evgeny Malkin's right there. There too.
Thornton's last point per game season was in 2016. He had 19 goals and 82 points in 82 games with San Jose. I mean, and that was at his age 36 year. So, I mean, to put this in perspective, so from post-lockout,
you guys are doing a great job in the comments, by the way. Keep going,
right.
Phil.
So, from 2006 to 2016, Thornton had 920 points in 858 games, including 217 goals. That's really, really good. So for post-lockout until now, he had 1,114 points in 1,192 games. That's really good. Malkin in that time, let's see this, and he had a scoring trophy and an Art Ross. So Malkin for his career, because his career is obviously all post-lockout. Malkin has won 3 cups. He was a Calder winner in 2007.
First ever Russian.
2-time Art Ross winner. 50-goal season in 2012, including the Ross that year. 2009 Conn Smythe winner. He won the Hart in 2012. He won the Pearson in 2012. I probably have to put Malkin 3rd.
Now, here was my number 3 that I said, and I actually put him at 3 and 4. Again, I'll say put it for me. It goes Crosby, Ovechkin, number 1, number 2.
Yeah.
Then I would probably have to go Patrick Kane.
I don't know about that.
He won an Art Ross and a Conn Smythe, and is the first American ever to win the Art Ross. He also won the Hart Trophy. I go with all those. Jonathan Taves, if you account for the playoffs, could be number 4. But you're making a great case for me to move him down when I had this conversation.
No, I wouldn't have put I would put Henrik Lundqvist in the top 5, though.
Yeah.
He's been the best goaltender since the 05 lockout ended.
Hands down. I mean, I was trying to figure out where we were on that. Now, D. Ely brought up a good point. Is it too early to put or too late to put down the 2005 draft like Eichel or
those guys?
McDavid?
They haven't really played enough time. I mean, I if you're gonna tell me who do I think the best player that's played in the NHL since then actually stepped on, it's Connor McDavid.
It's Connor McDavid, yeah.
There's no doubt about it. But we're talking about full bodies of work. McDavid's had like six years. I just McDavid is the only one that I'd really make the exception to the rule for, just because he's had such a start to his career that we have seen from very, very, very rare few players. I mean, I've always said that if you ended Connor McDavid's career today, he's a surefire first ballot Hall of Famer.
Anthony, I want to hear your list. We're going to try to do 10 off the top of our head, rapid fire and real quick. And because I'll also put up this right here. Steven threw out a couple names. Ovechkin, Crosby, McKinnon. See, I don't know about if I put McKinnon in there. Yeah, Draisaitl maybe because he's been so good. Or Marchand and Carlson. I would actually put Bergeron ahead of Marchand right now because of the amount of years he's got. Anthony, your thoughts?
We're still talking best players NHL post 2004 lockout.
2004 lockout, yeah.
Brad Boyes, David Backes, Eric Christensen, Wojtek Wolski,
oh dear God,
Andy Hilbert, Miroslav Shatan,
P.A. Parento.
Yeah, P.A. Parento, definitely.
Yeah.
And Mark, I had to look it up. Ole Jokinen's nowhere to be found in shootout records.
Yeah,
he's nowhere to be found.
I always remembered him having really good shootout.
I'm telling you thinking of UC. You're thinking of UC Jokinen.
No, I swear to you, I could have sworn he was at 40. He was over 50%.
No, because there's no one that's over 50% career.
You know what? I didn't have a misspelling this week, so I'll at least take this as my loss of the week.
Yeah, this is definitely your loss of the week.
I think Jonathan Toews is one of the highest shooting. I think it's like 48.57. He had one of the highest
there too.
Who?
Franz Nielsen.
Yeah, 3.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna check this out. But Anthony, what do you think? Top players post lockout.
As a lot of names we've already mentioned: Crosby, Malkin, Ovechkin, Marian Hossa. Connor McDavid. You have to include him. Probably could include Leon Draisaitl as well.
I don't know if I would put Leon Draisaitl up there yet. If we're talking like, I just don't think the body of work is strong enough for Draisaitl as opposed to McDavid.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, yeah.
McDavid. All right, so McDavid for context, McDavid in 6 seasons played previously has won 3 scoring titles, 2 MVPs. It says 4-time All-Star on Hockey Reference, but I don't know what they go by on it. So I don't know if it's all NHL. He would have won the Calder had not he been hurt in 2016.
Yeah,
I mean he has 4 100-point seasons in his first 6 years, and the only reason why he doesn't have a 5th one is because of the fact that he played only 64 games in 2020 and missed it by 3 points. Like this is one of the greatest starts to a career we've ever seen.
I'm willing to put McDavid in there.
I could put McDavid in. Nobody else? No.
Right.
Ryan Getzlaf.
See, I put Getzlaf in. I wouldn't put Perry in.
I don't know if I put Getzlaf in there.
But Perry's got the Hart Trophy.
Perry,
2 of them.
No, Perry has a Rocket Richard.
No, didn't he win the Hart in
no.
20? No, that's right.
He won the Rocket Richard.
You know, this is what the hard part is about doing everything by memory.
For me, would probably be in my top 10 though, because the years that he had while winning the Selke Trophy and then having back-to-back 90-point seasons and winning the Selke Trophy, becoming only the second player in NHL history to do that. The second player to have two different seasons of 90-plus points and winning the Selke, the other one being Sergei Fedorov. But it just look at his numbers post-lockout and just, wow. The very first year, he was 87 points in 75 games. And then 87 points a year again. And then he wins the hold on. I'm trying to go through. Something happened with Hockey Reference here. Okay. Now here we go. All right.
By the way, do you count the Sedin twins as one person?
No, but Datsuk post-lockout had 764 points in 744 career games, and he won 3 consecutive Selke trophies. And then from 2008 to 2013, finished in the finals of the Selke voting every year or won it. So that's incredible to do that for that type of span. And then he finished 5th in Selke voting in 2015. And he was a point per game that year too, with 65 points in 63 games at 36 years old. Like that's just incredible, man.
It truly is amazing how both well-recognized and yet still underrated this guy is.
Nicholas Lidstrom is another one that's probably in the top 10. I mean, he won, 4 Norris trophies post-lockout? I believe he won 4. Yeah, I believe it's 4 because I think it's 06, 07, 08. He didn't win it in 09. He didn't win it in 10, and then he won it again in 11, I believe. So, hold on.
But you could put Lundqvist in there over Marc-Andre Fleury?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Marc-Andre Fleury might have the cups, but and then he got a Vezina last year, but Henrik Lundqvist was the standard for goaltending, while Marc-Andre Fleury didn't finally win his only Vezina until Henrik Lundqvist was basically gone from the league. So, but Nicholas Lidstrom from 2006 to 2012 had 416 points in 548 career games, and he won 4 Norris trophies, and he finished no worse than 5th in Norris voting, and that was in his last year at 41 years old. He finished 5th in Norris voting. So, yeah, Nicholas Lidstrom's definitely a top 10 for me as well.
Anthony?
Andre Mazzaros. Who put that one in there? Was that Anthony?
Yeah. It has to be Anthony. Yeah. Oh, by the way, so where does oh my God, I can't believe his name escaping me. Anze Kopitar. Where does he fit in there?
I would say outside the top 10.
Outside the top 10. All right.
If you think about it, look at all these guys: Crosby, Ovechkin, Malkin, Lidstrom, Lundqvist. I'd have to say Pavel Datsuk would probably be a top 10 for me.
Lidstrom is the only guy I think with the majority of his career before the lockout, I would still put post-lockout.
Marty St. Louis.
There's another one.
That's another one you would have to think of.
Yep.
I mean, Joe Thornton would probably be in the top 10, probably towards the bottom half of it, but I mean, he would have to be top 10 for me.
Steven's got Roman Josi. Would you go with Josi over Weber if you had to choose?
No, because Josi, he only started coming on early. Like Weber has been more of a force for longer.
Yeah.
San Luis post-lockout to the end of his career. Why is this doing this? I hate when this thing does this. But, all right, so San Luis from 05-06 to his last season had 774 points in 770 career games. He won an Art Ross in 2013. Yeah, sure, because of Crosby's injury. But he won a scoring title, and he was over a point per game. I Would love to find somebody with a better resume than that, aside from the guys that we've listed.
Anthony, can you think of anybody?
Yoshin Hecht.
Yeah, Jochen Hecht. Oh my god. Ew.
Oh my god. Yoshin Hecht.
Yeah.
Oh.
Jochen Hecht was a decent player, but Anthony is just trying to.
He's clearly trying to mess with all this, and this is I love this right now.
Anze Kopitar is a good one. He's had 2 Selke trophies. Became the 5th player in NHL history to score 90 points and win the Selke in the same season. Should have won the MVP that year. He was a finalist. He finished 3rd, but he should have won the MVP that year over Taylor Hall and Nathan McKinnon. I don't know why he didn't. He dragged LA to the playoffs with Dustin Brown and Drew Doughty as the next 2 scorers on his team. So there was no help for Anze Kopitar and the Kings. But 1,000 points, 2 Selkes, 2 Stanley Cups. He probably should have had a Conn Smythe because this guy had 2 different runs of 20-plus points in playoffs while playing elite-level defense doing so. There's an
Eric Stahl.
Kopitar.
What about Eric Stahl?
No.
I know you said it to be a little cute, but Eric Stahl had a pretty good career.
Well, let's see. He has 441 goals since 05-06.
He's over 1,000 points, right?
Eric Stahl. I wouldn't. I would probably go to Marty Brodeur before I go to Eric Stahl.
Which says something. He only had about 8 years post-lockout.
I mean, Brodeur won 2 Vezinas and a Jennings, finished a runner-up for a Vezina. He won 288 games out of 369 started, had a save percentage of .913 and a goals against of .234, and that's Brian Rafalski was there for 2 years, in 06 and 07, and then he went to Detroit. What the hell was that?
I think it was just an ad that popped on for Anthony because he's laughing right now about that.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I would consider Brodeur. I mean, he'd have to have some sort of consideration.
But the consensus, though, you'd say even with the numbers, Sidney Crosby's number 1, right?
Yeah, he's got to be. He's probably he's a top 10 player of all time.
It's amazing how that 1 cup closed the gap for Ovechkin. And it's not that it closed all the way. It's just it definitely changed the perception of Ovechkin completely.
Ovechkin's probably going to break the Gretzky's goals record. So, I mean, if he does and Crosby starts to tail off a little more, and what happens if Ovechkin wins that goal? What happens if he wins the goal scoring if he wins the Richard and the Ross this year? I mean, then you start looking at it and say, oh, hey, like, this is not as black and white of an argument as you think, or, clear cut.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, what do you think? Who's the best player post lockout? Give us a top 10 that you got in the comments down below. And I thought it was you guys saying my name, but it was my roommate saying it just now. Throw it all down in the comments below. Don't forget also to like, share, and subscribe. That's going to play well, recording that one back over again. By the way, guys, just for the record, Olli Jokinen was over 50% when he was with the Rangers and took that last shootout goal and finished shootout attempt and finished 5 for 5 at 50%. For his career, not as good as his brother, obviously. It's hockeyreference.com is listing him as 35%. So you're right, Anthony. Apparently, I was thinking the single season, and still go to hell, Olli Jokinen. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably got to end this at 6 for me because I gotta eat dinner and stuff before the game.
No problem. So we'll do Q&A for about 20 minutes.
Yeah. So 50% most likely to choke in a shootout attempt. Olli Jokinen.
You know what? It's just and again, Sean, the worst part is when you go back to that play, it was obvious as soon as he went to the backhand that Boucher just went down, and yeah, that's another thing, Chris. That's 100%. He went down and just covered the 5-hole. There was no other option. The entire top part of the net was open.
Yeah, that's probably not happening, Rick. I don't mean to talk baseball on a hockey channel, but I don't think that's happening. So
I hope not. And I like Aaron Judge. I hope not. I'm a Met fan. That's my confession. Yeah, it has been a brutal 40 years.
This is who we should be talking about right now, though. This guy, 26 goals on the season, leading all players age 20 and younger in the OHL. That's crazy.
Oh, by the way, before we get too far away, and I'm glad we're outside the segment on it. Hey, Anthony, what about for the best players post-lockout? How about he who shall not be named?
No, not even close.
No.
If you're talking about who I think you're talking about, he's not even close. I could think
he was nominated for 2 he was a finalist for 2 Hart trophies.
He doesn't have one though.
Yeah, that's right. I thought he should have had it in 2015. I think he should have had it, but 2013. But don't worry, you don't have to say his name, Anthony. It's all right. He shall not be named.
Mark, are you betting on anybody tonight? Any placing any sports bets?
Yes. By the way, well, Anthony and I are going to be we're still crafting our solo shows. Anthony is going to be covering some more gambling stuff for his clapping bombs with El Rock. I definitely am dropping some bets. I need to look at what I have.
Well, let's get one for Anthony in here. I see Leo is asking about Anthony's thoughts on Robin Salo.
Yeah, I just saw that. Listen, I like Robin Salo. He's played 13 games. He's got 3 points. Obviously not earth shattering, but watching him play, I like the way he does everything. I like the way he skates. I like the way he moves the puck. He's not afraid to join in the rush. I think, as he gets more experience, he's going to develop into a really formidable defenseman for the Islanders. And, when you can get a guy, in the, second, third round, and hit a home run and turn into an important piece of your team going forward, that's a win. And I think that he has tools to be a good defenseman in this league. So, he can play in this league. He hasn't shown me anything that says that he's not ready.
There are 2 things that I like from Robin Salo that stick out to me, aside from his skating, which is, I think his skating is pretty good, but it's fairly obvious. The 2 things for me are, one, his decision-making is pretty good. He doesn't seem flustered at all by the speed of the game, and it doesn't impact his decision-making. He makes some pretty good decisions. He's good at getting the puck out of the zone, whether he's skating it out or passing it. The other thing is the poise that he plays with. There's not a lot of things that seem to get to him. And Steven's right on this one here. I mean, they're both very mature for their age, both him and Nils Lundqvist. And Robin Salo I don't know if I'm ready to say he's got ice blood in his veins, but you just don't see him panic often.
He doesn't seem like he's rattled.
He doesn't seem like he gets rattled easily, and he more times than not he makes the right play, and that's what I like about Robin Salo. And I think that he's going to be in the NHL for a while. I think he has the potential to at least be a top 4 defenseman. Where he goes from there, that's up to him. But I think he's got top 4 potential.
Version of Ice Man.
Are we talking about Leo? By the way, because I got to ask this question because I'm a big X-Man fan. But are we talking about the Bobby from the movies, or are we talking about the Iceman from the cartoons and the comics? Because
or even Val Kilmer in Top Gun
was a lot cooler than Bobby in the movies. So let's just say that.
There was one question that was too far up now. I'm not going to find it, but I forget who asked it. maybe it was AZ. I can't remember, but it was about the Islanders' interest in Klingberg and what I think of it. And he's a good defenseman, 29 years old. I wish he was a little younger, but they could use help. I just don't know if Lou is going to do anything until they get a little closer. I mean, if they keep winning at this rate, at this percentage, I don't know how sustainable it is, but where they're going 6-1-1 and last 8 and winning games at that rate, I think he will make a move if they get closer. But as we've seen, he's not afraid. The last 2 trade deadlines, he's made moves. Granted, the Islanders were guaranteed playoff spot those years, but if they keep winning, I think he's going to look to add a defenseman. So it won't surprise me, but I don't want to give up an Anthony Beuvillier or a Robin Salo for a pending UFA. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, with the Islanders, the thing that I see is, I know we were talking about Chytil before and what it would take and the supposed asking price. We were looking about that now, and that's ridiculous. If the Islanders went and made a move like that, you're basically gutting all of your young organizational depth in your system. You're killing your prospect pool, and the Islanders don't have a great one to begin with.
No, they don't.
How are you going to go and make those types of deals? I don't know if there's a deal out there for them that really helps them. I think maybe what they just have to do is just stand pat, just try to end the season on a good note, go into next year, and then make some moves in the offseason for players with term or, go get free agents, really. That's probably going to be the Islanders' route this year. Is they're going to have to go sign free agents because they don't have a whole lot of assets to give up in these trades.
And they certainly have the cap space, so why not? So they can actually just kind of.
You just got to be careful with that cap space, though. They have some guys coming off, but you got some guys that you got to sign in the next few years. So,
I think this is Varlarmov's last year in the team.
Yeah,
well, he'll be dealt in the offseason or dealt at the deadline.
So
right?
Yeah,
I definitely agree with you guys there because I could totally see Edmonton pulling the trigger on that, especially if the asking price isn't too crazy because they don't want to give up a first rounder this year, Edmonton, according to what's been said. So,
Anthony, I'm going to throw in this 5-pick parlay at you. See what you think. I got the Devils giving 1.5 to the Coyotes. I got the over in the Rangers Maple Leafs game today. I just think it's going over, even though all the games they played so far are, I think, 2-1. Bruins giving 1.5. Or sorry. Yeah, Bruins giving 1.5 to the Capitals. Flyers giving 1.5 to the Blue Jackets. And the Stars giving 1.5 to the Sabres.
The hell are you talking about? There's only 3 games on tonight.
Oh, then I picked for tomorrow.
He's such a...
All right. Well, that's what happened. I was trying to do a 5-team parlay, and I just kept on going. So
you combine games on 2 different days. The Coyote Devils game and Rangers Maple Leafs is tonight, but those other games tomorrow.
Yeah. But what do you think?
1 second. I'm
going against the grain.
Curious what this tweet was. I didn't see Butch Goring's tweet.
Leo, was this the tweet that Goring said about the Rangers fans being in hibernation or whatever? Because I know Goring basically tried to chastise Ranger fans, and everybody, myself included, basically dunked right back on him. So, yeah. So that's what. Okay. So I'll pull that up in just a second here.
Mark, while Phil pulls that up, Mark, just to answer your question, the Coyotes are a piss poor team, and the Devils aren't really that good either. And sometimes I shy away from betting on a game where I really don't know what I'm going to get from those 2 teams. I really don't. So I wouldn't touch the Coyotes Devils game, to be honest.
Yeah, I might go fix that because I think I'd rather stick one day.
So I pulled it up. I don't have it on the screen thing here.
I got it for you. It's right here. I don't know why the NYR fans were on Twitter. I guess they were in hibernation for 3 years.
Yeah, that's not exactly something good to post there, Butch.
And that's really him. That's not like a fake account.
Yeah,
that was him who wrote that.
That's him. It's a verified account.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, that's. I mean, he he shouldn't be tweeting something like that. That's for sure. I mean, you're professional. I would just leave it as it is. But yeah, that's silly of him to do.
Yeah.
By the way, in fairness to me, I should be 2 for 2 on all my bets on DraftKings, but Brad Marchand missed an empty net with 2 seconds remaining the other day. But by the way, that's also it's not a good look if you're an analyst just trying to do it. And I've never known Butch Goring to stir up problems like that. So
I mean, yeah, I don't know what context in it. If it was just if he randomly did it, I mean, I can't imagine he randomly tweeted. It must have been something he was talking about.
He had to see something. I don't know what he saw, but that's definitely in response to something. But I mean, with the Islanders fan base, I mean, they've had problems with getting fans showing up to games for years and years, and they do have diehards, but that's not a good look for him. He should know better of all people. He was there during their worst times coaching.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't know. It's one of those things like suddenly your team isn't doing well and then the other team's ragging on you. It's what New York is.
That's probably what it is. I mean, he probably saw some Ranger fan or fans tweet something, negative, and he probably came back with, okay, well, what he said. He made a reference about how the Rangers were bad for a couple of years, and now all of a sudden, they're talking trash. But it goes both ways. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. You see it on both sides. There's no debating that.
And it always happens like that because we're New York fans are literally fanatics. That's just what we're always going to be.
Listen, these last few years when the Islanders were good and the Rangers weren't, I'm sure there were Islander fans on Twitter that talk trash about the Rangers for sure. And now, this year it's flopped, and now I see Ranger fans on my timeline tweet stuff about the Islanders. It's just what it is. I mean, I don't participate in it because maybe when I was younger, my heyday, you would, but now I don't bother to write anything negative about the Rangers if they're good or bad. But not everyone has that mentality. You have a lot of Ranger fans that talk trash and vice versa. So
I don't need to unless it's more like the unless something really like this, like that caused me to get involved with it. And you know what? Like for me, that's kind of like, okay, like you need to sit this one out, buddy. And he needed to be put in his place. So
I think Brody hits this one on the head. Just Twitter itself is trash.
Yeah, yes and no. I've definitely met some good people. There are some people from this show that view us that I came across on Twitter. I'm actually going to Henrik Lundqvist night because of somebody I met through Twitter. Had an extra ticket, and I am going.
Please record as much as you can.
Yeah, I'll try to do that. And then there's also, and I met a good group of people through Rangers Twitter. I mean, there are some, there are some ups and downs with Twitter. It's toxic at times, and it could be a hellhole at others. Yeah, I totally get it, but it's not all bad.
No, it's not.
No, I don't think any of us are saying that it's all bad, but still, it's not easy.
No, it's not.
I mean, I remember, and one of our guys that's on here can tell you a story about how somebody tweeted some awful thing about him, and I was immediately going, "Are you fucking kidding?" But I think it was like something where somebody was trying to make a joke out of it, but just stupid.
Mark, I got a good 2-leg parlay for you.
Okay, what do you got?
It's Tavares and Kreider and McKinnon and Zegras all score. $25 wins you $1,289.
Tavares, Kreider, Zegras and
McKinnon.
All right. I'm gonna. How much is that?
What?
How much is that to do?
If you bet 25, you win $12.89.
You know what? I'm gonna make that bet because that's what Anthony Oraco has done.
That's on Caesar's Sportsbook.
It's on Caesars. It's not on DraftKings.
No, I've been using Caesars.
Yeah, I gotta get on Caesars.
Yeah.
I'll do that later. But yeah, that is awesome. And by the way, John, you can't ask for a better birthday for you. I mean, my birthday has been the Rangers are 1-1 on my birthday. It's in June. It was game 4 versus the Canucks and game 2 versus the Kings. And I'm still pissed off about game 2 versus the Kings.
Steven has a parlay for you.
Yeah.
The 2022 Stanley Cup final winner, the 2025 World Series winner, different years, but Mark doesn't mind.
You know what? I'll take it. If I still win the parlay, that's good.
Oh, God. Oh, Mark.
Yeah.
Mark.
And you know what? The great part about being the youngest of 4 boys is that I could take a joke pretty well.
Mark's accurate. Sean put up a comment before. Mark's accuracy rating 50%.
50%. Which is still pretty good for any pundit. But folks, so where's your game tonight?
Skate safe.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We had a game at Caniac last night, and the one thing I can't stand about games at Caniac is no showers. Hell's gonna freeze over in 2025. You know what? It might. It's the way it feels, Dave. It's the way it feels, and you know what? Hopefully your Bills finally cash in. Or sorry, not your Bills, Anthony's Bills.
Yeah, let's go Buffalo.
Yeah. Let's go Buffalo.
It's not likely, but if they beat Kansas City and Cincinnati were to beat Tennessee, they would actually have another home game for the AFC Championship game, which I already said to my buddy we're going to that if that happens. So if that occurs, I'll be going to Buffalo.
That's interesting.
The L Rock making big moves.
Yeah, it's happening.
Man.
But again, I actually think Buffalo could beat Kansas City. I'm not confident with Cincinnati being Tennessee though. So I think it's going to be all for naught, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, you know what? You never know. I mean, Buffalo versus Kansas City, it's can Buffalo regain their form from the beginning of the year where they were the number 1 scoring offense and the number 1 scoring defense, I believe, at one point. See about that.
Yeah.
All right. They lost on a wet field to them. That's what David's saying.
Yeah. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Cincinnati able to beat Tennessee so we can have a home game. I'm not worried about Buffalo beating Tennessee.
I think Derrick Henry is going to come back with a vengeance this week. That's what I would think about that. But looking at some of these other ones again. By the way, I'll take a Stanley. I don't know which one would you want first, a Super Bowl win or a Stanley Cup win, Anthony?
Stanley Cup win, but I mean, yeah, for sure. But don't get me wrong, a Bills Super Bowl win, I'll be absolutely ecstatic. That'd be great.
Phil?
What?
Which would you want more, a Stanley Cup or
a no-brainer?
Yeah.
Stanley Cup win or a Super Bowl win? This is a Stanley Cup win. I've seen the Giants win twice.
I know. Yeah, that's right. You're spoiled.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have went away from the Giants. And I regret that every single day. I'll tell you what, 2015 was probably my best year of being a fan in general.
You switched fans in being an adult? You changed course?
I was in high school. I always was partial to the Dolphins. And I keep saying if the Dolphins get if the Dolphins end up getting Deshaun Watson, I'll go back to being a Giant fan. I'm not putting up with that. And not anymore.
That's sacrilegious. How do you switch sports teams, Mark? I'm disappointed.
Well, it's more sacred than marriage because once you choose your team, you choose them for life. But you know what? I need a divorce. That's what I need. It's like I was a Dan Marino fan with Tecmo Bowl, and I always played with them because my brothers were the Giants. And eventually I had a Mark Duper shirt when I was a kid. And eventually it all just kind of fell downhill. But Anthony, I told you the story, right? I bought my Dan Marino jersey, and it was a Champ Sports that didn't even have the lettering on it. I had to go get the lettering on it by my own, like by myself. So I was going to drop it off Monday I bought it on a Saturday. Monday, I was going to drop it off to get the lettering put on. The day in between, that Sunday, Dan Marino ruptured his Achilles tendon. And it was just like, you got to be kidding me. I came back from playing football with my friends, and that's what happened. So my brand new Dan Marino jersey. Then Keith Jackson, I bought a jersey of his. He was traded a month later. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I bought his jersey. He was then sued by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and had to change his name to Abdul. Fortunately, Zach Thomas worked out pretty well, but the rest of my Dolphin jerseys after that, Tannehill, Jake Long, Chad Henne, and Ronnie Brown, yikes. They were all bad. And Cameron Wake was good. Oh. So I guess the thing is, if I'm going to buy a Dolphins jersey, only stay with the defense.
Well, Ronnie Brown was a big part of that wild card offense they ran for a while there.
Yeah, the Wildcat. Yeah. He was good. He was good. Buy a Nemeth jersey.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what, Steven? The good news is with the Rangers, I've been good with jerseys. Like the one jersey I got that didn't work out was Brady Shea. I had a Brady Shea jersey. It's a Winter Classic 2018, but Brady Shea was okay as a Ranger. He just wasn't that great.
If you want to become a Bills fan, I think I'll think about accepting you into the Bills Mafia if you want.
Great. Then I can
jump through a table,
spin around with the baseball bat, and dive through a. All right, maybe
get a Josh Allen jersey.
I mean, I had some fond memories of rooting for the Giants early on. Yeah. And that's the thing. I don't want to be a fraud fan. Now, by the way, you want to know where I've had mixed results? The New York Mets. I've had let's see. Keith Hernandez was my first jersey / shirt. Mike Piazza. Okay, that worked. Then it was, I'm just going to go solo. I think my next jersey, because it held up for so long, was an Ike Davis jersey. And then that was nothing. Then Michael Conforto and Matt Harvey was in the middle on that one. So talk about, again, mixed. I'm not getting a Jacob deGrom jersey for that. I wish Jacob all the best. So as Ilya said right here, how is Brady Shea doing as a Cane? I know he's scoring in bunches this year, but
I don't know if I would say great. I mean, does he look better than he looked his last few years as a Ranger? Yeah, I don't know if I would say great.
Phil, by the way, if you missed it, Steven had a way to get Patrick Nemeth neutralized. I get a Patrick Nemeth jersey that would completely kill his career.
That would be perfect. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. So, but I'm gonna get going.
Yeah, we're actually gonna sign off, guys. We're gonna do it an early thing because I gotta rush too. I gotta get the audio podcast up as well. And as usual, every single week, it's great whenever I see you guys. Yes, by the way, David, I was actually wearing the Ike Davis jersey when he had the 3 home run game. That was awesome. But again, guys, great week. It was a surprisingly loaded show this week that we're only getting done in an hour and 50 minutes. You know, usually we like to do marathons, especially the guy up in the top corner over there. So anyway, guys, thank you all for joining us. We will see you all soon, and look forward to next week where we're doing our midseason awards. Let's go Rangers tonight versus the Maple Leafs, and we'll talk to you soon. Oh, let's go, Philk. Going to his game.
Thank you.